Hello students, this is the notes video for Annabel Lee. I'm going over the questions, but I'm also giving you some poetry term notes that you'll need to know. So I'm looking at the assignment. The questions come first and then the poem is at the bottom, just so you know. So number 1 asks you who is the author, and I'm just going to give you the answer to that question. It's Edgar Allan Poe. We are continuing with our Edgar Allan Poe unit, and Edgar Allan Poe wrote the poem Annabel Lee. Then number 2 says, who is the assumed speaker? So speaker is basically what we call the narrator in poetry. And you need to tell me who the speaker is once you have read the poem. We assume that the poem is spoken aloud. Poetry is all about the sounds that you hear. So who is the speaker? He or she does not have a name. You need to describe this person. The answer is not Edgar Allan Poe. We do not conflate the speaker with the author, no matter how similar their experiences may be. Number 3 is obvious, it's the setting. Number 4 says, what is the format? So you need to answer A, B, and C. A says number of stanzas. The stanza is basically the paragraph of a poem. You'll see line breaks in between the stanzas, so please just count the stanzas and give me the number. Number of lines per stanza, so in each stanza, how many lines are there? It is a range of numbers. Please give me the range between what and what. And then rhyme scheme, and for the life of me, I can't remember if we've talked about labeling rhyme scheme before. Because we've been out of school for a little while, and I'm like, did we do this before you left? I don't think so. So I'm just gonna do it, and it'll be a review if you already know. So let's see. I'm going to tell you how to label the first stanza, and that will end up being the answer. I'm basically just giving you the answers today, apparently. So, I got this bigger whiteboard. I probably should have been prepared to do this by writing this down beforehand, but you know, I was not. And this is going to take forever. So maybe, yeah, this is stupid. See how prepared I am? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write the last word of each line, and we'll do it that way. So the first stanza says, it was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. Aw, cute. So I have written the first word, or the last word, I'm sorry, of each line in the first stanza. We are looking at end rhyme here. That's what it's called. That's the rhyme we are most familiar with, is called end rhyme, because it's the rhyme that comes at the end of the line. And so we are going to look at the last word, and we are going to label the rhyme scheme. So the first last word is ago. It was many and many a year ago. We always give that the letter A. It's the first line of the poem. It gets an A, and you put it right next to it on the right-hand side after the first line of the poem if I was going to ask you to label the poem. In a kingdom by the sea, C does not rhyme with ago. So I'm going to give it the letter B. We're just going alphabetically down the alphabet here. No. Oh, that a maiden there lived whom you may know. No rhymes with ago. We're going to give it an A. By the name of Annabel Lee. Lee rhymes with C. It gets a B. You're noticing this pattern. It is a pattern, A, B, A, B. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought. Thought does not rhyme with any of this, and therefore receives a C, because it is the next letter we haven't used. Then to love and be loved by me. Me rhymes with C and Lee, and so it gets a B. And so if you were going to write the answer for what is the rhyme scheme to Annabel Lee, for our purposes, you would just use the first stanza. Like I said, I'm giving you the answer. You do not have to label the whole poem for this. So the answer would be A, B, C, B. That would be how you write down the rhyme scheme for the poem. A, B, C, B. There's labeling rhyme scheme. What else do we need to talk about today? So question number 5 says, what lines inform you of Annabel's death? Spoiler alert. Please, it's Poe, you knew she was gonna die. Please give the actual line number where these things happen. The rest of these questions are pretty self-explanatory. I am going down to number 8, which says, what does coveted synonym from poem mean and who portrayed this action? So there are a few questions that ask you to find a synonym for a word. Actually 9 does it as well. Every time it asks you to do that, whether it says it in there or not, I want you to find a synonym from the poem. So there is a word that means coveted in the poem. That's the word you need to write down. If you don't know what coveted means, you need to Google it, then find the word that means that in the poem other than coveted, write that word down, and then answer the question, who portrayed the action of coveting? So that's a little confusing, but hopefully you get it. Find the synonym from the poem. I'm going down to number 10. Again, I'm just giving you answers today since I'm not there and I can't do this the way I normally do. Number 10 says, in the 4th stanza, what sound device is chilling and killing an example of? Well, we know that chilling and killing rhyme, but if you go down to the poem and you see that it's not regular end rhyme. Those words are not at the end of the line. They are within the line, and yet they rhyme. So that, let's get a different color, why not? That is called internal rhyme. So let me try not to misspell rhyme. It's right in front of my face. The regular kind of rhyme we call end rhyme, but this kind of rhyme we call internal rhyme, when 2 words rhyme within the same line, 2 or more, I suppose. So there you go. The answer to number 10 is internal rhyme. Is there anything else here? Let's see. Sound devices, blah, 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 blah. A sound device is anything like alliteration, onomatopoeia, and rhyme. I think those are the only 3 in this poem. I'm not even sure if there is onomatopoeia. Toot, 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 toot. Last thing I will tell you is that number 20 is kind of a trick question. It's kind of like a riddle. It says, which line does not make sense when dealing with the senses? Number 20 will be an optional question. It is extra credit. If you get it, you get an extra 5 points. Congratulations, because that one is like a trick. It's a tricky one. So that's pretty much it for Annabel Lee. Please read the poem, enjoy it. It's an easy poem. Like plot-wise, understanding what happens, very simple. I am teaching this poem for its form. Theme is very easy. We'll talk about that later. I'm only teaching this poem so that you can get internal rhyme scheme labeling, understanding what a speaker is and that sort of thing. So please let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you guys soon.